Hi, this is Derek Murphy from creativity.com. Today I've been playing around with my book covers. I actually had another designer help me to redo these, and I'm going to talk about why, on the one hand, it's a good idea to ask people for feedback on your cover, and on the other hand, you won't actually get any satisfying answers, which is a bit confusing. So this is the first cover I had, which was fine. I made it myself. I really liked the cover. Actually, I usually start from the cover, so I made the cover first, and then decided it looked like a time travel dystopia, and I made a story to fit the cover. That's kind of my process. So a lot of my books start with a cover, and then after I finish writing the book, I look for something a little better to help it sell more. The problem with this cover is that even though it's pretty and unique, it doesn't really immediately tell the genre. So some people are saying they prefer this cover because it doesn't look like a stereotypical cover for the genre, which is actually a bad thing because just because they like it doesn't mean it's going to sell. And so the reason you don't really want to ask for feedback, or the reason why you shouldn't listen to feedback, is that everyone's going to have different opinions, and what they like isn't necessarily what's going to sell, and they don't really know what sells with cover design. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. You don't want to just listen to whichever is the most popular cover, because that may not necessarily be the right cover for the book. So the main problem with this one, like it's pretty, it's just not, it doesn't, it's pretty. It doesn't really have a wow factor, and it doesn't really communicate the genre. You don't know that this is young adult time travel dystopia. It doesn't have anything that says time travel or dystopia. And that's all right as long as I can rank really high, as long as I get up to number one in time travel and dystopia, then the pretty cover might catch their attention, but it might lose a lot of sales if it's not immediate what it's about or what genre it is. So I made these other two, which are a little more. This is much more obviously action, post-apocalyptic dystopia. So that's going to appeal to those type of people. And this one's a little more kind of fifth wave, end of the world type things. It's still not obvious, but I would add some like plants in the background here to make it a little clearer that this is kind of a dystopian. But really, they're all like, as long as they're well designed, these are all pretty good covers. There's Unless you're really testing them out, which I'll probably do, there's not a good way to see which cover is actually going to sell better. And especially like just listening to the comments, like I asked my list to vote on these, and they're really mixed. I could go through and I could try to see exactly which one. I have 109 votes already, so I could go through these 109 votes and I could see how many got the most votes. But it's actually really mixed, and they all like different ones for different reasons. I don't think there's going to be a clear winner, and that's usually true when you ask for feedback. What most people do is that they'll ask for feedback on three very similar covers with tiny differences. And that's not going to make a big difference because any of those three covers are really the same. They're going to sell about the same. And what you don't want to do is, like, if you're not a professional designer, maybe all three of your choices aren't actually very good. And so you'll get feedback and they'll say, I like number three the best, but really all three of those covers won't sell the book. So that's one of the dangers, is that nobody, when you post feedback, or you post asking for feedback online, no one's going to tell you those are all terrible, you really need a new cover. So you may get validation because people will say, I like this one the best, so you think those covers must be okay. And that can be a danger. I see that a lot with authors posting in Facebook. They have three samples, but they're really very, very similar. But then even if you have three totally different covers like this, you won't really get a clear answer. However, the reason why it's still good to ask for feedback is it's engaging. So I can put this on my Facebook group, and I emailed my list. I told them this is one of my currently perma-free books that I'm going to switch to paid later. So I emailed my list and I asked them to get the free book because a lot of them haven't read the free book yet. And I asked them for feedback on my covers. So what happens is they come to my Facebook group, which has about 6,300 likes, but on Facebook, not everybody will see all the content you post. It really depends on engagement. So it's my job to keep emailing my list and trying to get them back to my Facebook group to interact, to comment, to like on something, because the more they interact, the more that people are going to see my content, the more people will share my content. So I just shared this with my list, and I said, which cover do you like? And go get the free book on Amazon. So the benefits of that are now my free book on Amazon is back at #1 in free in time travel, which is good. It gives me more visibility. I did that pretty easily. That was like 110 sales or 110 downloads or something. My email list is pretty big, so that's just the people who haven't read the book yet. But that puts it back up on top and might get some more reviews. This is actually doing okay, but I don't really promote it. The description, the summary, is really not great. I really need to redo this blurb because it's not working that well. But now it's 600 in free and #1 in time travel, which is good. So really, like every month, I should do something like this, which gets some more downloads to keep this book at free. Later, what I'll do is I'll just change the cover. Actually, what I should be doing while it's free and while it's getting some visibility is just testing out these covers. Where'd they go? So really, I could just throw one of these covers in for a couple days and see if it sticks. It's a little hard to do because if the cover's not like this, my normal rank is probably around 5,000, so it's not actually getting very much visibility. And if nobody's seeing the book, then adding a new cover is not going to matter because nobody sees it. But if I could keep my rank up pretty high for a week or so, then I could just switch the cover out for 2 or 3 days and see which cover actually gets more conversion, because that's something you can test. And then once I know exactly which cover gets more conversion, I'll just use that cover and then fix the blurb. I would actually probably fix the blurb first so that it converts better, so that my free rank stays higher. I should stay in like maybe above 2,000, and then once I have that better conversion, it'd be more telling to try out the new covers. But then I would use the new cover and just change this to paid, come off of perma-free, and it should start selling really well. Which is one of the things I can do because I'm self-publishing. I can test and I can change. I can keep tweaking this stuff until I find the formula that really works and makes the book stick, which is one of the huge advantages of self-publishing. Anyway, so that's one thing. I think I wrote a blog post a while ago about why you should never ask for feedback on your book cover. That's basically why. It's because most book cover feedback is totally worthless. On the other hand, getting feedback on your cover is a really easy pre-marketing thing you can do to get engagement from your audience, to get them to like or to share, and just to get more people kind of paying attention to this book and to know that it's out there. I'll probably get some more reads, and then when I tell my list, like when I eventually launch this again and I have the second part out and there's some new stuff, then I'll email my list and I'll get more traction because more people have read it, more people on my list have read it, and more people are engaged because they voted on the cover, so they're more engaged in seeing what happens next. So it can be, I mean, this is much better marketing than saying, go get my free book, and that's all. If you can get people engaged in the process, and give you feedback and make them feel like they're part of your book publishing development, that's really powerful. So that's why I do stuff like this. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.